Hi Sumit, welcome to my channel. In today's tutorial, we'll be learning how to make this Skort, S-K-O-R-T, Skort pants. It's a shirt and with a skirt looking front style. So stay tuned. The first thing I'll be doing is I'll be drafting my shirt pattern. So first thing I did here was to mark the length of my shirt, the crotch length, and the hip line of my short measurements. I have a tutorial on this channel on how to make a trouser, so it's the same pattern you would use to make this, just that this is going to be like a short instead of a trouser. So I would draw out all my lines, full length line, my crotch length line, and my hip line. So after doing that, I'll be imputing quarter of my hip. I'll be coming in by 1.5 inch from the side to give me a kind of a shape by the side, and then I'll be marking my waist measurement from the 1.5 that I marked there, and I'll be adding allowance. On my hip line, I'll mark quarter of my hip measurement plus 1 inch allowance. On my crotch line, the same thing, quarter of my hip measurement plus 1 inch allowance. Then on my crotch line, I'm going to make an extension of 2.5 inches, and then I'll connect this as a curve to the hip line and connect from the hip line to the waistline. So on the full length, I would you can either mark down what you have from the crotch line down, or you can come in from what you have by the crotch line by 1 inch. Sorry, it's not showing properly. So you can come in by 1 inch on both sides, or you can leave it this way. So what I did was I came in from 1 inch by the hip side and by the crotch side. That is on the full length. Then from the waistline, I came down by 1 inch and connected. That's to replace for my that. So I'm still going to use this pattern for my back. So what I did was for the crotch extension, I added 3 inches for the hip line, and I added 1.5. Same thing with the waist. At the down, I added 1.5. So I'm going to connect this. 3 inches at the crotch length, 1.5 every other part. So that's going to be for the back. So I'm going to cut for the back first. I'm going to cut out the pattern. I'll use this to cut out for the back first, and then cut it out and use it for the front. So I forgot to connect that 1.5 we took out from the waist to the hip. That's what I'll be doing here. I connect that and then I'll cut out. So I would keep my pattern aside and then introduce my fabric at this point. So what I did here was I placed my pattern paper on my fabric and then cut out for the back. Please, this material is tweed, and when you're using tweed, make sure you add extra 1/2 inch. So after doing that, I cut for the front too. Sorry, I didn't show us how I cut for the front. I'll be using this pattern paper now for my front skirt pattern. So what I did was to cut out that crouch part, so that it is going to be like a normal skirt pattern. So I'm going to use this to cut on my fabric also. I'll be adding allowance at the hemline because it's supposed to be longer than your shirt measurement. So I added at least 3 inches to it. You can add more depending on how long you want this to be. So the purpose of using this pattern is so that I can get that hip curve that I have at the back. So after doing that, I'm going to open this and I'm going to try and get the kind of shape I want for the front. You can freestyle this, but what I did here was I came in by 4 inches at the top unfold, and then I connected it to the down area. Like I came in by 4 inches, sorry, at the hemline and connected to the top of the pieces. So to avoid my tweed from shading, this is what I do. I used candlelight to burn the edges so that it doesn't pull out before I'm ready to sew or in the process of sewing. So that's what I'm doing here. So after doing that, I cut lining for this. Sorry I didn't show that. It's not necessary anyway, but I used lining for mine. So I'll cut lining for both the back and front, and then I turned the hem. I also cut lining for that skirt part, that front overlap part, and then I turned the edge and the hem. So this is what I did. So I would iron this, as you can see, and I'll set this aside. So next thing I did was to bring up my back, measure the waist, and then set aside. This to enable me cut the band. I would bring the front pattern too. I used my pin to close it at that crotch length a bit so that I'll be able to measure the waist. So I measured the waist. Whatever I have there, coupled with whatever I had at the back, is what I'll be using to cut my band. So after cutting my band, I would be attaching it to the waist. Please, I have a tutorial on how to make easy way to make a trouser, a pants, from the band, everything. So I think I'll attach a video here, so that would help you easily. So after attaching the band, I'll be closing the crotch of the back, and then for the front I close the crotch first, ironed this properly so that it would relax. Then I introduced that our skirt piece, that skirt piece that we set aside before. You'll be attaching it to the front of your shorts first before attaching your band. So this is what I did here. Arranged this properly. As you can see, if you see, look properly, you see that the skirt piece is longer than the short piece. So that's how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to look like a skirt completely in front. You see that slanted part design I gave to the front. You can make your slant as wide as possible. So I'll be introducing my band at this point. I'll pin this and I'll stitch my band to both the short and the skirts. So the next thing I did was to introduce my back pattern piece and marked my 1 inch allowance on both sides. So that's what I'll be doing here. So after doing this, I'll take this to my machine and I would sew the both sides. So after sewing the both sides here, I would fold this from front to back. As you can see, there's no pocket on this shirt actually. I forgot to mention, if you want pockets, you can still follow my trouser tutorial on how to attach pockets. But I didn't see the need of attaching pockets to this. So the next thing I did was to fold this two sides of the back, as you can see me do, so that I can take my appropriate measurements. I like to take my measurements at the back. So I marked my hip line, took my hip measurements, and I marked it, and then I took my waist measurement too, and then I marked. So whatever I have, I'll be connecting. So that's where I'll be sewing my back crotch. So I did that, and I closed the back crotch, as you can see. After doing that, I closed the remaining part of the part. So this is the final look. See how fine this is. It's very easy. Thanks for watching. If you found this tutorial helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you. Bye.